video is going to be a new foiling technique, bringing the base down, and also a product review on this new product I have been trying out. It's similar to Olaplex, but it has a few different benefits, so I'm going to be using this on my blonde client today and letting you know how I like it. So if you are interested in watching this, stay tuned. All right, let's get to mixing. So I am using Redken Flash Lift, and I have not used this on my channel in a long time, so I'm excited to be using it today. It used to be my ride or die. I usually use Goldwell developers and bleaches now, but this is going to be fun to use because it was my old go-to. So I am mixing that up with Redken's 20 volume, and I am now using Trueplex. I'm going to add 5 milliliters in with my bleach. Trueplex is a new brand I've been trying out. It's comparable to Olaplex and any pH bonders, and I'm really excited to see the results we get. Now for a paint between, I'm going to be using Goldwell Colorants, and I'm doing 7N, 7MB, and 8GB. I am doing this for a paint between on her dark roots, and that's going to give us a little bit of depth up there. Now I am doing a new parting. I'm going to be focusing on the hairline, as you guys can see here. It's a little different than my traditional parting, and then I have one big section in the back. So I am going to be starting around the hairline just because a lot of people like it brighter around their face. That's where we want to focus more of the lightener. And this is going to give us a really pretty bright look, focusing on those money pieces and making sure she's really blonde when she pulls her hair back. So for these first few foils, I am just going to be doing slices, and I never do more than 2 slices back to back because I don't want it to be too chunky. So these first 2 foils are going to be slices, and then I will just transition back into doing baby lights up into the hairline. So I'm making sure I get her roots saturated very well. I'm feathering down into her ends. I don't want to take a bunch of lightener and run it through her pre-lightened ends because she doesn't need that, and we don't want to cause extra breakage. Even though we do have the Trueplex mixed in to help with breakage and prevent damage, we still don't want to overdo it. When it comes to doing these money pieces around the face and even blonding in general, I believe that the smaller, thinner sections are better for getting a good lift. I feel like they process evenly, they process quicker usually, so I definitely make sure my sections aren't too chunky, and I think that's why baby lights are so popular right now is because they look very natural, but they also give you incredible lift. You do have to do a lot of foils to get a heavy highlighted look, but it is so worth it because you do get a better result. We are wrapping up this hairline, and I'm just going to let these foils sit and move to the side. So now I'm going to start above her ear using my board as a good support as always, and I'm just going to highlight her as normal. I'm doing very fine baby lights, mainly focusing on her roots to blend her blondes upward. We are going for a little bit of a rooty dimensional look this time. So on some foils, I'm going to foil all the way up, and on some I'm just going to feather into the root, and then I'm also going to do a paint between to give a little depth at the root. But we definitely want to brighten her blondes up so it doesn't look like she just has regrowth, and that's why we're going to go back through and add the dark in after so that it has a more blended look with the highlights and the dark together. And as soon as I finish the foils for that section, I am taking that darker mixture that I mixed up in the back room, and I am just doing a paint between through all the foils. Some of it I drag it down a little further, and some I do a little higher just to give dimension so that it doesn't look like solid regrowth. And then I'm going to coat her ends in number 2 using Trueplex, and this is going to give her a nice little treatment while she sits in her foils. This stuff is amazing. It actually has bamboo in it, so I'm really excited to see the results I get with it. Now that we are in the back of the head, I'm going to switch up my technique just a little bit. I'm going to be doing more balayaging, hair painting, and foils. So I'm actually taking slices so that I cover more ground, and then I'm just taking my lightener and feathering upwards, as you can see here. I like using a board in the back especially because the head curves and I have a better support system with that. But as you can see here, I'm just feathering up into the base. On some of them I go all the way up, but mostly I'm feathering just because we are going for that dimensional look. And I am bricklaying using angles on the side and then bricklaying in the middle. And once those are done, I am doing the same thing with my paint between in between the foils. And the reason I did balayage in the back and foil up top is because I do want her to be a little brighter up top, and I want to add most of the dimension in the back. And I also think this technique gives me a similar look as the foils, but it's a little easier to do in the back of the head since there's a lot more hair. Now it is time to mix up her toners. So for her root shadow, I am doing a 6N in shade ZQ, mixing that together with the processing solution. And for her ends, I am just doing 9V, 9P, my go-to for that icy blonde. And even though we're adding dimension, she still wants to be a cool tone shade. Okay, this is her after I've pulled all her foils out, and I just wanted to show you those money pieces. This is why I do the hairline foil, is because you can get super bright around the face. It looks like her hair just grew out of her head that way, and that's what most blondes like to see. So now I am just brushing her out using my Olivia Garden Eye Blend comb, and I love this brush so much. It glides through the hair like silk, and it blends colors together really well. So this is definitely my ride or die brush. And then I T-part her off, and I'm going to do the root smudge in the back and then on the 2 sections of the side. And I will leave that on just a few minutes, and then we will tone her ends. Now the key to doing a look like this, we are giving her a darker base, but I don't want it to look like regrowth on her highlights. So I'm doing a teardrop method. As you can see, I'm working on diagonals and I'm dragging it down further in the back and then higher up in the front. And the reason for that is because I want it to have a teardrop effect where it's lighter, brighter around her face, less root, and then it gets darker in the back, so it mimics how the sun would hit her hair, and that's what the teardrop is for. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure you guys have all kind of heard of that technique before, but it really helps when you're doing a root shadow or a balayage or anything like that because you can envision where the sun would hit the blonde and you just go off of that. Combing it through is always key to me because it helps it look really blended with no splotchiness. I do have the Trueplex number 2 on her ends again just so that I don't get any of that base color into her ends, and it also gives her a little treatment while she's sitting in her root color. As you can see here, you can see that teardrop effect where it's higher up front and then it dips down lower in the back. Now you can see how it's going to look once it's done and processed, and you can just see how it's going to lay. You can see me pointing. So I really like this effect because it's going to look very natural and very pretty. Okay, so now I am just going to tone her ends. I left her root color on because I want to smush it all together and make it look very blended. I did keep the number 2 Trueplex on before I did her toner. I didn't rinse it out, and this is because it kind of creates a barrier for me so that the toner doesn't take too purple or too silver, and I'm able to leave it on a little longer. So I like doing that with my toners if I don't want it to be too ashy, and I'm going to leave this on about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll rinse her out. So while you're watching this nice little footage of her blow dry, I wanted to talk about the Trueplex and what my thoughts were on it. I have used Redken pH Bonder in the past after using Olaplex. I kind of like to dabble and try different bonders just to see how they work and how they compare because Olaplex is my one true love from the very beginning. And I will say I really like how it lifts. I like the protection it gives. The hair feels really soft and shiny. And I like that it doesn't slow down your processing time. If anything, I feel like it actually helped it. So that was kind of cool. So I would definitely recommend it if you guys would like to try it, I will link their website in the description box below. Here I just wanted to show you a quick little demo on how I add dimension in with extensions. I didn't really want to take any dark throughout her ends because she does like to be really blonde, but we did add a darker hair color extension in with her blonde extensions to give her pops of the dark color without having to color her hair. She was a little nervous because the dark ones are so solid dark, even though they're just like a level 7. When you hold them up together, it looks a little scary, but when we layer them in with her blonde, I piggyback it where the dark's underneath and the blonde's on top, and it looks very subtle, very pretty. It just gives you pops of a low light. So that's a really good option for blondes who don't want to commit to putting low lights in their hair, but still want the look and a fun little change. The curling iron that I use is the Balayage 1 1/4 inch iron. I will link that in the description box below as well. I do get so many requests to do a hair curling tutorial and feature the irons that I use, so I'm going to be doing that soon. If you are interested in that, please leave me a comment below so I can see what the interest is, but I think I'm going to do a video on how I curl my own hair with this iron and the iron that's a little bigger than this. This is her hair all finished. You can see it's really a bright blonde, but it has some dimension throughout the ends and then some depth up at the root, but it's a very soft transition with pops of bright blonde around her face, and then we do have that ashy brown low light mix throughout. I love the way it turned out, and so did she. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. As always, my outfit details, my Instagram, my social medias, my email will be hooked in the description box below. Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see in the future. I'm always drawing inspiration from you in your comments and what you would like to see, because I am here to help educate and I just want to do what you guys want me to. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Have a good day.